This is going to be some alcohol awareness training. So the aim of this will be to make sure that all of us in the shop are selling alcohol with the legislation thoroughly at the front of our minds. So the first thing to be aware of is that our licences are twofold. One is for the shop premises, and the second is that it's held by our designated premises supervisor, Jan Greep, who lives in the village, and ultimately the buck stops with her. So everything we do has to be in line with legislation so that we don't risk losing our premises licensing, or even more importantly, we don't put Jan Greep's licence at risk. Our licensing hours are specified on our licence. They are 8 a.m. in the morning, weekdays, through to 2200 hours in the evening. On Saturdays, it runs from 8:30 to 2200 hours, and on Sunday, at 9:30 to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. A condition of the premises licence is that the alcohol sold is for off-site only, and that encompasses just outside the shop and the environs of the shop, including really right through to the street. Anybody who buys alcohol from us should not drink it in that designated area. The other key thing to note is that when you are doing a shop assistant role, you may only sell the alcohol to your customers, provided you have been authorised. And completion of this training, including some online reading, which I will send a link to, and also a questionnaire, which you have to get all right, and which I will mark, and that the information then gets passed to Jan Greep, who will authorise you to be able to sell alcohol, and your name appears on a list in the storeroom. So, key points. There will be reading to do, but the very important key points is that, first of all, it is an offence to sell alcohol to anybody unless you have been authorised. Your name is on that list. Secondly, it is an offence to sell alcohol to anyone under the age of 18, or to anyone purchasing alcohol on behalf of someone who is under the age of 18. It is also an offence, by the way, for a person under 18 to even try to buy the alcohol. So because of that, we have a clear edict. We must challenge to get ID for the age, and the rule is that if any customer looks 25 or under, we challenge them to produce evidence of their age. There are only 3 proofs of age we will accept: a valid passport, a European-style photo driving licence, or what is called a pass-accredited proof of age ID card. Just quickly run you through them. You would check, first of all, that they are valid, that the photograph on them matches the customer standing in front of you, that they are in date, and that the date of birth means that that person is 18. Whilst we're all familiar with passports and driving licences, the pass-accredited card is perhaps more unusual for us to meet. It has a hologram on it, which is unique to these pass-accredited cards and makes them different to, for example, a student union ID card. It's important that that hologram is functional, that the picture on the card is genuine, i.e. to run your hand over the picture to make sure it's not grazed, i.e. not been stuck on. And again, checking dates of birth and the validity date of the card. No other ID is acceptable, and it is absolutely imperative that we don't take anybody's word for it, including perhaps somebody in the queue who might say to you, "Oh, that person's over 18, I've been to their birthday party." That is not acceptable. We actually need to see the ID, not take someone's word. The penalty for the member of staff who sells alcohol to an underage person, should they be caught doing so, ranges from a fixed penalty notice of £80 right the way through to a criminal conviction and a substantial fine. It is imperative, therefore, for one's own benefit, for the shop and for Jan that we follow this legislation very, very carefully. We may be subject to secret shoppers who may look under 25, and that can be sent out from trading standards at any time. Should one need to refuse a sale of alcohol, so one thinks that they're buying it for somebody else who's sitting outside the shop, or because they themselves cannot produce ID, then a refusal has to be made, and that refusal is logged in a refusals and incident logbook, which is kept under the counter. It is our responsibility as volunteers to ensure we know where that is at all times, and again can be asked to produce it to trading standards or to a designated supervisor. The only other way that we should be refusing alcohol sales is if we have a suspicion that the person in the shop is drunk and disorderly. It's our responsibility to refuse a sale in those circumstances. We obviously cannot refuse on any other grounds of sex, race, disability, or etc. It all sounds a little bit daunting, but actually it's really easy, because as soon as you scan any of these bottles of alcohol, a sign on the till comes up which is stop, and decide whether you're going to proceed or refuse the sale. Additionally, on that screen is the date of birth that an 18-year-old would have on that day, so therefore that is updated on a daily basis. Once you are satisfied that it's okay to proceed with the sale, you then simply press proceed. Then the item will appear as a scanned item, and any further sales would not result in the stop sign appearing. Should you decide to refuse the sale, press refuse and follow the information on the screen. So to finish, the pieces of paper which you'll need to access in order to complete this training: the personal guide to selling alcohol, the questionnaire that I referred to, will both be on the file store on 3 rings, which you can find out about through another video. Additionally, on that same information store is a form which you'll need to complete simply the first 2 columns, and when you first come into the shop, this will need to be returned so that I can return that to Jan Greep. The questionnaire needs to be completed. It's a multiple choice, and once you've completed that, please either scan it in and email it back to me, or you could take a photograph of both sides and send that back to me also. I will confirm that you have got 100% right, which has to be completed. If not, we'll have a conversation about it, and at that point I will be able to recommend that you are able to sell alcohol through Broughton Community Shop. Thank you. Whilst not alcohol, Broughton Community Shop takes its social responsibilities very seriously, and in line with many major supermarkets, we have made the decision that this can only be sold to youths over 16 years of age, or 16 years of age or over. There is no formal ID required that we can specify. However, please challenge young people who don't look 16, and if they should be able to produce some ID in order to be able to purchase it.